Listen to that band.
The Dinner in Hell band. Is that the band you're referring to, Brad the Impaler?
Indeed I am, and you may not recognize them because of the strange instrumentation, but we are
On
location.
vacation.
Location vacation.
Vlocation.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to take our show on the road.
Yeah, we had to get out of town for a little while, but we couldn't leave you guys without an episode. So we are recording live on location in a undisclosed Caribbean island with a small, intimate audience that we've brought here with us.
I'm currently holding a baby sloth. Okay?
It's incredible.
This place is amazing.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful day.
I just had my first mango.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing too.
Delicious, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
juicy. The juice just dripped down my chin.
Mm-hmm.
So today, what are we doing here? Let's get on with it.
Yeah, well, so we're
So
on
laid
an island.
back.
Yeah.
All this rum we're drinking.
Yeah. Welcome back for another exciting edition of Dinner in Hell, the podcast where we talk about history's atrocious underbelly. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, the legendary Ronald Maiden.
That is me. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for inviting me back for another taping. And with you on this trip.
I'm having a great time.
It's my first time on a cruise ship, by the way. That was this trip.
Yeah, mine too.
So we are now in a beautiful suite overlooking blue waters.
Oh, yeah.
Seabirds in the distance flying. The breeze blowing through. We should probably close these windows so we don't hear the crashing of the beach anymore.
Yeah, and the seabirds.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
So-
crank those in, fellas.
So yeah, we're overlooking this beautiful beach, and we're dedicated to our audience, and we're not gonna let you down. We were gonna take a week off, but here we are.
Well, for this special episode, we've got a theme, don't we, Ron?
The theme, basically, we're on an island currently. We're talking about some serious islands from our human history.
Mm-hmm. We found a few stories that they didn't seem to be kind of substantial enough to get the whole dinner in hell treatment, but it seemed apropos to combine them for this special island episode.
Some would call it an Islandstravaganza.
Mm-hmm. So we've got 3 stories for you today. We're going to be talking about the Isle of Poveglia.
Yes.
And the plague. We're going to be talking about Nazino Island and forced deportations.
Not fun.
And we're going to be talking about Molokai and a leper colony.
If you had to go to prison, that would be the one.
Yeah, or in like Norway today, like Sweden, those prisons actually don't seem that bad.
Are they on islands?
Probably.
Do they receive snow?
Yeah.
Then I'm thinking Molokai would be more ideal.
Yeah, like
Hawaiian.
Norwegian prison looks like a better apartment than lots of people could afford.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's kick this shit
talk
off.
about it's just this whole sea, the air, the salt in the air just got me so chill right now.
I can't even tell you guys how reinvigorated I feel.
I mean, you take a few good deep breaths of this salty air and it's just your whole body's relaxed. Well, Poveglia is an island that many ghost hunters visit. Am I right?
Yeah. When I was looking into this, I found a few references to TV shows that had been filmed there.
Yeah. A lot of YouTube videos.
A lot of YouTube videos.
I watched a few.
Well, of like dusts floating around catching light, and then people are like, fucking ghost, man.
What's that? fog over the top of the water surface in the morning. That's fog. No, man.
It's ghosts.
It's ghosts. It's ghost smell.
What is this? What is this low humming coming from our audio equipment? Oh, that's called 60 cycled hum because you plugged it into an outlet that's not grounded.
Sorry.
No, man. It's ghost talking.
It said get out.
Yes.
Poveglia.
Poveglia. Poveglia is a small island in the Venetian lagoon. So we're talking real close to Venice. Real close. It's like right outside of Venice.
Venice, Italy, not California, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah, to my knowledge, this is not like where Snoop Dogg is from.
This isn't where Hulk Hogan hails from.
Its historical importance dates back to around the year 421 when refugees from mainland Italy fled to the island in fear of who?
Attila and the Huns.
Attila pops his head back up.
That was his horse.
Yeah, like if we were Happy Days, Attila the Hun would be like a Chachi. Like he just keeps popping in every now and again.
I thought you were gonna say like the Malachi brothers, the Burnout brothers, like the
Malachi Crunch.
Demolition Derby. I thought you were gonna say Leather Tuscadero for a second there, but yeah, Chachi, yeah,
or Pinky.
We are just teasing you with little pieces of Attila. We're just poking you with an Attila stick.
He's always in the background.
He'll get it. You'll hear about this guy Attila that we're leading up to.
We'll get there.
It's like the White Walkers.
Yeah.
You see a little bit of blue-eyed White Walkers once in a while.
And just some sort of sinister scenario. Like here, forcing people to flee from mainland Italy because they're just tearing ass through the countryside.
Okay, so we're swimming across we're taking boats, whatever. We're getting away from Attila the Hun.
Yeah, that's where people sort of first started living there. They found, they could fortify it against invasion, so it became sort of like a fort, like a safeguard.
They settled there.
Yeah. It was under control of Venice, though, pretty directly for most of history. In 1776, they opened a checkpoint there to serve as a place to screen all of the people, animals, and goods coming into the Venice port. So it's like they're like customs agency is set up on Poveglia. So any imports or exports that are, going into Venice, well, not exports, but any imports coming into Venice have to stop at Poveglia first to get like screened and shit. Which was a pretty solid health move. Trying to keep, diseases from rolling into town. Now,
when you mean like the quarantine event, the actual like where they screen all the people and animals, that actually they actually discovered a couple cases of the plague almost getting in or got in.
They did. They found evidence of plague infection on 2 different ships in 1793. And the inhabitants of those ships were quarantined on the island. So they were like, guess what? You guys are infected. You've been exposed to the plague, so you're not leaving Poveglia Island.
What if you live on Poveglia Island and you're like, whoa, wait a second, we don't want freaking plague people here?
Well, I think at this period in time there weren't it wasn't colonized. It was just the people of Venice would just be like, oh, shit's hitting the fan. Let's get over to Poveglia. I don't think people were hanging out there. Except for the quarantine workers and the shipping workers and stuff like that. They were probably there.
Yeah.
But they had to build a hospital. When you start quarantining people, you got to have a place to put them. So they had to build a big secure hospital to house all of the people who were being confined to Poveglia.
1793, that's still George Washington times.
Oh yeah, George Washington, first president, still trucking. Shortly after these 2 ships were quarantined, that's when the plague broke out big time, pandemic status for the second time after it's a big outbreak that we talked about in our episode of the whatever they called it, the great giant plague mortality bulos Black Death.
Psycho mega meta mortality plague plaguetry
Yeah.
of uncertain
Yeah.
Bubos.
Yeah.
Plague of
Plaguitude.
right.
Yeah. This is the second time after that shit's kicked off again in Europe. So then Poveglia got to be very, very popular because lots of people were getting the plague and getting shipped off there, dead and dying.
Live out the rest of their days on Poveglia, drinking
Yep.
wine, partying, dying, freaking die slow, bro.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, but because of this fact, Poveglia became home to what are known as plague pits, which are, right now, you know how nothing like too bad's going on in the world at the current time being?
Yes.
When people die, generally, when things are not going too bad and there's not too many people dying, we take very careful care of each individual person.
Yeah, they get in a coffin, they get embalmed. Right?
Yeah.
You're talking about burial, right?
They get like cremated and everything's like separate and individual and, treated respectfully. If like half of your town was dying over the course of a month, you just wind up like there's no time. It's impossible to pay that much attention to every person who dies.
Yeah.
So what happened then
Bonfire.
and what would happen now, that would be a better solution.
Right.
Yeah. But they were Catholic. So at the time, I believe Catholics would frown on cremation.
Yeah.
So they had to be buried, but they weren't getting individual plots. What they would do is just dig giant holes.
Plague pits.
Yep, plague pits. And then the plague victims went into the plague pits.
I was thinking it was something like, hey, Billy, something got you down, Billy? Yeah, I got the plague pits. It's all right. Get your chin up, son. It's all going to be okay. But really? Honest?
Sure, just get in this pit, little Billy.
The plague pits got me down, Grandpa. Plague pits. That's so awful.
Yeah, I mean,
imagine having to dig all those 6-foot holes for formal friggin' burials.
it's impossible.
You know what I mean?
There
Yeah.
wouldn't be enough
There's
time.
not enough hours. Like you're saying, time literally. There won't be enough daylight hours.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not that enough people to do it. It would, and they still got to try and make food and to do other shit to stay alive. They don't have time to just.
And they're sick. They don't have the energy to dig the holes because they got the plague already.
Yeah, so what
they're like next rotation of death.
Yep. So what they do is they just dig when I say a giant hole, I mean a giant hole. I mean like a single plague pit could have as many as 10,000 dead bodies.
Holy like a quarry?
Yes.
Well, how they don't have earth movers.
They got people.
Slaves.
No.
Most healthiest members have to dig it, and then their immune gets weaker, and then they get the plague.
Well, actually, probably at that period of time, they may have had some sort of like steam-powered excavation equipment.
Oh yeah, like train engine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, we're talking Washington times.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, the Poveglia got deemed a quarantine zone the same year the United States became a country officially.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not that long ago. But all told, when they gather all of the evidence from all of the pits that they've found on Poveglia Island, about 160,000 plague victims lived and died and were buried there.
This is also there's also rumors of there being so many bones. This like the soil is like a certain percentage is human remains.
Yeah, I don't know how scientific this fact here is exactly.
Okay.
But sort of the saying about Poveglia Island from locals is that the ground is 50% dirt and 50% dead person.
Come on. Like crushed skull bone.
Yeah, like decomposing human remains,
Like,
half human remains, half actual soil.
Fishermen that use like nets and shit, those type of fishermen, they would not fish around the around the island because they would catch like ribs and shit, like skeletons in their nets. They didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it's creepy, and also they'll tear the nuts. Yeah, bones are sharp.
Now, when we talked about ghost hunters going there, if you go there now, there's still like structures there, right?
Yeah, there is some stuff still up there. I mean, and there's no like rule evidently against going there. I just think it's kind of like an abandoned place. But there's still Kavana, which is like a boathouse, a church.
What's that? Is that are you talking about the type of place where you go to worship at?
Yeah,
I've heard of those.
A hospital. That's a place where sick people go to get healed.
An asylum?
Yeah, I believe that's actually pronounced asylum.
Okay. That's where like crazy people go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Additionally to that, there's also the island's oldest structure, which is a bell tower.
Okay.
And there are housing...
Quite tall.
Yeah. There are housing and administrative buildings for the staff of that used to occupy these other facilities as well.
What are the ghost hunters searching for when they go to Paviglia?
Well, the thing about Paviglia is that the plague pits aren't the only reason that there's atrocious history taking place on the island.
Mm-hmm.
There was a psychiatric hospital that opened in the 1920s. Now, the warden or head psychiatrist, whatever you call the person who was in charge of this psychiatric hospital, experimented on the patients, tortured, basically was just butchering them sort of at will.
Awful person.
Serial torturer and murderer.
Why is it always a psychiatrist, man? The whole reason you become a doctor is to help people. There's all these psychiatrists, they just want to like destroy people.
Yeah, now I'm imagining like the Scarecrow from Batman, like Dr. Jonathan Crane.
Hannibal.
Yeah, Harley Quinn. She was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I think so.
Yeah, and then she fell in love with the Joker when she was working at Arkham.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this eventually it was going to get exposed. It came to light what he was doing in this fucking asylum, this asshole.
Was it DiCaprio doing an investigation on the island? Did he take a boat over, take the ferry before the storm
Dude,
arrived?
maybe it's based on that.
I'm going to watch it again.
I should watch it again. I think
Yeah.
I fell asleep through a part in the middle and I never watched. Like went back and did it again.
Yeah.
Or like season 2 of American Horror Story.
So the doctor, he's starting to feel some heat, some pressure.
Yep, he's starting to feel some heat. They're basically coming for him because it's finally come to light what he's done. So he, instead of facing the music, climbed to the top of that old tall bell tower and hurled himself off to his death.
He's like, here I stand atop this bell tower looking down below at you, and I say,
puny mortals.
I wish I could cut you all into pieces and make a Frankenstein out of you. And then jumps.
Whee!
Like a cartoon coyote. It's like 1,000 feet tall bell tower. Little puff of smoke. You don't even hear it.
Yeah, he gets all his like surgical torturing tools from Acme.
Okay, that was Paviglia. Thank you.
Poveglia Island.
Good night. I'm just kidding. Overlooking this beautiful water as we do this island episode. It's just really nice.
Yeah,
chill
it's incredible.
episode, I'd say. Feeling real good. A lot of... It's like your skin feels healthy. The sun, the vitamin E we're getting down here.
Oh, yeah, you just want to bask in it, relax. You want to breathe in really, really deeply. Hold that in for a little while and just let that out. And you just kick back.
I'm feeling relaxed, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in a nice... Like my whole body is like chill.
Absolutely. And the band, it sucks that their instruments got lost at the airport. But even on this, the
They
local
improvise.
instruments, the
Yeah.
improvised, they're incredible musicians.
Yeah.
They can adapt.
It's just we're blessed that way.
Absolutely.
I've said it before. We're blessed by Buddha because Buddha's the only God that we can trust.
Yeah, no gripes with Buddhists. I don't
Yeah.
really have any gripes with Sikhs either.
Yeah.
Sikhs seem cool to me.
I think we both have Buddha figures in our homes, do we not?
Yep.
Well, in a complete contrast to our current location,
Yeah.
let's paint the picture of Nazino Island is what our next subject.
Yeah, we're moving on to island number 2, and this one is not in a nice tropical location like this one. This one, we're talking Siberia.
Talking Siberia.
We're talking Siberia. Soviet Union. 1933. All right, so we're going to the Soviet Union, May 1933.
You can only imagine 1933 May, Soviet Union is like beautiful blue skies and green lush grasses and flowers, right? No?
Well, for
Or is
some of it.
It's black and white and gray and gloomy, blood all over the place.
No, the Soviet Union before World War II was industrializing rapidly. They'd actually seen a large growth in life expectancy and infant mortality. They were doing really good work for, most of the people that lived in the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, for most of the people, the early Soviet Union was definitely better than the latter. But by 1933, they'd already sort of reached, the darkest timeline, and, Joseph Stalin was in charge. He was at the helm.
1933?
Yep.
So he's like going friggin' toe-to-toe with FDR over in the U.S.
Oh, yep. Good old Franklin Delano.
While supplies last.
Well, see here, Hitler.
Hey, you're talking to a Russian, motherfucker.
I'm sorry. Now, see here, Stalin, you Rusky.
Hey, you look me in the eye when you speak to me. Is my Stalin good?
I can't get up to eye level because I'm in a wheelchair because I had polio.
Stand up and face me. God damn it. I'm Stalin.
Again, believe me, Mr. Stalin, I'd love to. But I had polio. What part of that didn't you understand?
Look, I send 2 soldiers out with 1 gun. First guy dies, second soldier picks up the gun and fires it. You understand?
Well, of course you did. The glorious Red Army was facing the Nazi hordes, the Huns, the Krauts. But that doesn't happen for another, 8 years.
This only happens because we named a fucking year. Every time we ever name a year, we have to decide, we have to say who the president was.
I think I've got a pretty good transatlantic accent going on there, though.
Yeah, copper.
Yeah.
Like telegraph. Like, yeah.
They're having that argument via telegraph.
Yeah. Telegram is being delivered across the ships.
It's like one guy has got to take it from each end. Like he's running to get on the boat to hop over.
Yeah, he made it. Played by DiCaprio as a 13-year-old. He's got a cabbie hat, leather jacket, stowaway.
Yeah, so 1933 Soviet Union, there's a famine going on, which, was a consequence of some of their economic planning practices, sort of like growing pains, trying to collectivize the farms.
Like they didn't manage production of local food. They did other things like built things instead. Or
like they would do it, but they wouldn't do a good enough job at it. I mean, they're working with 1933 technology. They don't have computers or anything. It's like people trying to figure out exactly what they need and how to make it. Yeah,
they're like flipping through the almanac and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically this famine was caused either by the Soviet crackdown on an aristocratic farmer class called the kulaks, or by a combination of the kulaks hoarding grain and protest against the Soviet, government, and a drought.
So it was either the drought or the kulaks
It was either the drought and the kulaks, or it was people like to just blame the entire thing on the Soviet government. But it's not all their fault. Some of it is. It's not all their fault.
Now, this is before they became the Ku Klux Klan?
No, the kulaks, that's just like a name for a class of people. They were like out in the Russian countryside during, the Tsarist Empire, when there was a king of Russia. There was, aristocratic people out in the boonies that like lorded over all the peasant farmers. Mm-hmm. So these people that used to lord over everyone else around them was salty about then being like immediately kicked down to their level. Everybody's leveled off in the Soviet Union, exactly the same. So, but they had like control over huge farms, not little ones like everybody else. So they didn't want to give that power, that like, extra wealth up. So they would grow everything on their lands, but then they would just hoard it all. They wouldn't share it with anybody.
Yeah.
Or they'd do things like kill all their own livestock and just let the meat spoil.
Just to be like,
protest.
We'll make the decisions. Now, let's say you had a small group of kulaks together. Let's say, like a little gang of them. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you refer to them as a Ku Klux Klan?
Yeah, I guess so. The Ku Klux Klan. We can call them that. Yeah, they're the Ku Klux Klan.
The Ku Klux Klan. That's always, as a kid growing up, we always heard about the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
And it was like all these kulaks that would get around, and they would like have bonfires, celebrate, diversity and farm life. It's freaking ocean breeze, though. Breathe it in.
Yeah. Well, either way, the Soviets were they were going to take these aristocratic farmers that were protesting, causing a ruckus. They were also going to take sort of a bunch of people that were hanging around in city centers, but without jobs to do. Like basically people who lived in the boonies. The famine hit them, so they couldn't get any like assistance. They couldn't get any rations from the Soviet government out there, so they came into the cities. So they're like, I got no food, but there's no work for them in the cities. Like, so essentially, they're just hanging around with nothing to do. So the government takes all these, troublesome peasants. They take, class agitators, like people, reactionaries,
people starting shit.
Yeah, and criminals to decongest some of their prisons, and just ship them to the wilderness.
Nazino Island.
Nazino Island in specific is the location of one such deportation.
Yeah, they would. Oh, they did it to numerous locations. Nazino is one of them.
Dude.
Okay.
When you get to the numbers, overall, it was 2 million people.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So we're just talking about Nazino, which is one sector.
Yeah. Over every like forced deportation campaign was like 2 million people put together.
Isn't there like a camp in Siberia today with like North Koreans that are working there that don't know that they're not in North Korea? They think that they're in North Korea.
No, they know they're not in North Korea, but they'll declare the little area that they're logging inside of Russia to be like a North Korean, like, how territory? Like if you're in New York City, if you walk into the Japanese embassy, you're in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the ground underneath that belongs to Japan.
North Korean law exists in that territory.
Yes. In their logging camp. Oh, okay. Yeah, like that's still North Korea, but they're not like, I'm still at home. They know exactly what they're doing.
I thought it was like a work camp.
Oh, it is, and it's full of North Koreans, but they know what's going on. Okay, it's not like they're not confused about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Siberia Island.
Yeah, so in specific, in this case, about 5,000 urban class agitators, peasant aristocrats, and criminals were shipped, quite literally, up the river from Moscow on May 18th. The authorities were supposed to supervise the whole, labor camp operation. The people who were supposed to do that were only told they were coming 13 days before that. And we're talking wilderness, not like a rural area. This is Siberia, undeveloped land. People have never lived there.
Just wild plant life.
Yeah, the only people around are like nomadic tribes that are not under the control of the Soviet government. They're just like, you guys do whatever you want out here for now until like we, deforest it and shit, and then you have to deal with us. But yeah, there's like nomadic tribes that live there, but the land's completely undeveloped.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Here's so they give them like a bunch of food, they give them water, they give them tools, right?
Yeah, so they get there and there's nothing prepared. It's like they just stop on the river and they're like, here's your island, and it's just like the middle of nowhere. They didn't have any like housing built, no like plumbing, no bathrooms, nothing. They also didn't send them with anything. All that came on the boat with them up to this island was 20,000 pounds of flour.
No oven to bake bread in.
Nope.
Just flour. So they're making like flour surprise, flour, casserole.
Yeah.
What are we having today? Flour balls with seawater.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking 5,000 prisoners, and they came with 50 guards with 2 supervisors.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
And
5,000 prisoners.
Yeah, and there's like reports of it
50
show that
guards.
Is it? Yeah, so it's 50 guards per 1,000. Wait, so it's one
guard per 100 person.
Yeah, 1 guard per 100 prisoners. So a recipe for, disaster. And that's exactly what happened, because the second the prisoners got off the boats, they rioted nonstop.
Like, they would just like throw you in the water and have you swim there. Like, that wasn't like pleasant.
No.
I don't think they checked you in. They were just like, there's your island. See that island?
Well, they did.
Swim.
They did count them when they got there.
Yeah.
But I think that people were still complacent, like while they were getting taken off the boats, because they didn't know that there was nothing at the end of it yet.
Yeah, once they got there and met everyone, they realized, no, we're eating people here.
Yeah, which definitely happened. But once they started to riot, the guards and the supervisors just left in the boat. So they were just there alone and without the flour or anything. And they would like dole out a little bit of flour at a time every day. But they were completely like unprotected and left to like the devices of like the meanest, nastiest people who went on the trip.
And there was cases where they would just pick up people on the street, like, for not having papers. Like,
yeah, because what they did to keep people from just congregating into the downtown areas when they didn't have anything to do, they would issue urban passports. If you had a reason to be in the city, like if you had a job like at the factory, or if you were in the party in the government, or doing anything that needed. If you had a job in the city, you'd get a passport. If you didn't have a job, you didn't get one. And like, for example, from Moscow alone, like 83,000 people were deported into Siberia. It's like forced deportations.
Yeah. I imagine like gangs would form.
That's exactly what happened. Basically, the criminals just formed together as a gang and sort of terrorized all the rest of the people.
Freaking prisoners. I mean, they're in prison for a reason.
Yeah. Well, most of them probably were. But they were abused like crazy. Pretty quickly, it became clear to them that they couldn't dole out the flour to each individual person. So they would like name people as brigadiers, and then they would be responsible for receiving flour for 150 people and then doling them out themselves. But the gangs just sort of took it all.
Yeah.
Which is, even when it's just shitty flour you can't even bake with no other ingredients, they still have to try to hoard it all.
Yeah. Humans. Earthlings.
Yeah, and the problem with that is what people were doing to try and eat the flour is just mixing it with river water and eating the dough, which of course is, yeah, I mean, you really don't want to fucking do that. So they were all getting dysentery. For some of our listeners, if you don't know what dysentery is, it's basically diarrhea until you die.
Until you die?
Yeah, dude, you'll fucking get like shitty and dehydrated. Like, all they had to drink was more river water full of more parasites and shit.
Dysentery puts the die in diarrhea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Side effects include dying.
Yeah, I mean, and the probably the worst part about it, I mean, even though people did like try to escape, but there's nowhere to escape to. There's nothing else there.
Right.
Like Russia's such a massive country, like it's almost easy to forget. It'd be like getting dropped off in Montana 200 years ago. Like, yeah, you might be able to escape that prison, but where the fuck are you going? There's nowhere to get to. You'd have to walk for like months.
Yeah.
I mean, so people were trying to escape, and the guards were happily shooting them whenever they tried to do that. But there's not even anywhere to go. This is like a super prison.
And you can't imagine the water temperature being very warm.
Yeah, God. Because, well, actually, as a matter of fact, I read the first night that they got to the island, it snowed, and they didn't have any shelters. Can you imagine that? What a nightmare. So hundreds drowned attempting to escape. And like I said, the guards would shoot you. And by May 21st, 70 new deaths had occurred on the previous day, and there were 5 cannibalized bodies.
You imagine like a big gang of Russian gang members, cannibals, wearing like tracksuits, chasing you down to eat you. Run! Freaking. You know how they always, whenever you see like Russians in like the mob, they're always wearing like a tracksuit on movies and stuff.
Yeah, so over the next month, it got a lot worse. Over 50 people were arrested for cannibalism, and I presume if you get arrested for cannibalism in the Soviet Union, you just get summarily executed like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you can just chalk those up as the death numbers following up. So, well, one thing you might be asking yourself at this point in the story is, how did this... because they weren't intending to kill these people. They wanted them to develop that whole area into, like, productive farmland.
Really?
Yes.
That was the plan?
Lots of people died under the Soviet Union's rule that shouldn't have. Lots of them. But people will equate the Soviet Union with the Nazis, and, like, the difference is the Soviet Union was trying to achieve a perfect world.
Yeah.
They were trying to solve the problem of the famine by moving people who can't like live and work and eat where they're at. They can't do that. So they're moving them to somewhere that they can to develop more farmland so that everybody can have enough food to eat. It's just they're so callous that they do evil shit like this in the meantime. But like all I'm saying is the main difference between the Nazis and it's like the Nazis weren't trying to do anything good for people.
Yeah.
Except just Germans. Soviets trying to make everybody's life better.
Yeah.
They just fucking didn't do a very good job at it after Stalin took over.
They had good intentions?
Yes.
Okay.
And you might be asking yourself, how did this get so fucked up? Well, it's because the people who came up with this idea were the head of basically the secret police and of the like prison system. They came up with this joint plan, put it all into motion, had people like on the morning of the deportations, after they'd already left, it was, as a matter of fact, when Stalin rejected this plan.
Didn't they... But they already had it started?
Yeah, they already did it.
Yeah.
So then they basically just abandoned all these people for the most part.
Like, we didn't do nothing.
Yeah, they
There's
kind of
someone there.
pretended it didn't happen.
So Stalin doesn't even have an idea that they're there.
Yeah, he didn't know this happened, I don't think. Maybe I think he learned of it probably later on, but he didn't know about this. So they were up there for basically a whole month, and on the 21st, on June 21st, about 3,000 people were evacuated from the island to, a much more like stable, survivable camp, like 200 miles further up the river. Like it was like a more established outpost or something. They got the rest of the people there. Mm-hmm. But that left, between 1,500 and 2,000 people who died on Nazino Island during that span of time, during that 1 month.
May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, was the day that they arrived.
Mm-hmm.
June 21st here
Yep.
is when after they find out 2,000 people died within that time.
Yeah, 2,000
Approximately.
people.
Wow. And that's how the song Nazino Blues was written. You got Nazino Blues.
Is that a real song?
Ding, ding. Yeah. Dinner and Hell Band plays it in their rehearsal space.
Oh, man, I just can't get over how nice it is down here. This environment is wonderful.
I like sitting on an island, and I like talking islands as I'm sitting on an island. And I'm drinking a Long Island iced tea. Thank you, by the way, to the local bar for bringing it.
Excellent. I like these intimate crowds, too. It's nice to kind of be close.
Yeah.
It was weird when we did that one show. It was just one guy.
Yeah.
That was a little weird, but now this is, there's only, it's like a coffee house crowd, basically.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a nice change.
So we have one final island to discuss in our 3-part island episode mini series.
Yeah, and we want this to be kind of a refreshing experience for everyone. So this one is not as fucked up as the other two.
This is just fucked up that this place exists today.
Yep, that's the wrinkle.
On U.S. soil.
If you thought there wasn't a leper colony in the United States anymore, well, let your, beautiful ignorance be shattered now, because there is a leper colony in the United States still.
I feel like this next island we're about to talk about could be like a Jeopardy question,
Yeah, I bet this probably has or will come up. But I don't know. They probably don't want to put anything shameful on the United States. Some people might be like, we don't have a leper colony. We're modern. We're the best country in the world. People get pissed.
Plus, the Jeopardy staff and writers, they will not acknowledge our connection. They will not acknowledge that they listen to our show. They just refuse to even how we'll bring up an episode and then a couple days later they'll run a question from it. Come on,
we know where you got it,
right?
Trebek.
Admit it and let's move on.
Yeah, don't make us sick Longmont on you again.
I don't think it's up to Trebek at all. I think it's the staff and the producers and stuff. Because of our language, our blue humor.
You look at Trebek, he's an evil puppet master. You can see it in his dead eyes when he coldly tells somebody he got it wrong, basically calls him a moron.
As a matter of fact, Brad, what we should do, since we have these Jeopardy questions from home.
Yeah, you want a little peek behind the curtain?
After this
dinner in hell ritual we do for a warm-up.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it for you guys after this episode ends, after the music stops. You'll hear me and Brad go through a handful of questions, see how smart we are.
Yeah,
we will not cheat.
We won't. That's the dinner in hell warm-up. We'll call that a bonus.
Yeah, you'll hear how we prepare in the green room. Okay, Hawaii today. Normally it's like Sicily 461 BCE. Hawaii today.
Yeah. So there's a small island off of one of the smaller Hawaiian islands called Molokai, and there was established a leper colony in 1865 by King Kamehameha V. Dude, that is the coolest king name ever.
King Kamehameha. King Kamehameha. What? Kamehameha, you gotta check this out.
And you just know he was the most friendliest, just biggest bellied, but somehow still athletic guy in the world.
Yeah. Toss me that football. Dude's got a big grass skirt, barefoot.
As wide as he is tall.
He's got he's just a man of a man. He's solid. You smack him and it doesn't jiggle like fat. It's
it's some kind of weird. I've know people like that, and I'm like, what is this?
Hairless body. Tattoos. Kamehameha. Bring me the head of a pig.
I don't know what kind, but he's got a cool hat on.
Yeah.
1865 was like sort of just a time for cool hats. I bet he had a cool hat.
He's got 1865 sunglasses on.
No shirt.
Never.
Never.
He doesn't even have one in his hut.
Yeah, so he declares this little island a leper colony called Kaluapapa. Hopefully that's the only time I'm going to be asked to say that word.
Kaluapapa. I'll handle it.
All right.
Kaluapapa.
So in the prior 50 years, merchant ships had brought with them to Hawaii all of the terrible European diseases.
Yep. Silk Road shit.
Yeah, stuff like influenza, stuff like syphilis, other venereal diseases.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Botulism.
sailors like banging.
Yeah. Anything that moves. Little dinner, no. Fun fact for you. Sailors are known to bang anything that moves.
Yeah, so in that time span, about, as much as 20,000 people died. And in 1853, things got much, much worse. In that year alone, 15,000 Hawaiians died from smallpox. Just that disease, too. Only smallpox. 1 year, 15,000 Hawaii's dead.
Damn.
And, that's not a big country. Hawaii, 1853 is a small country. There ain't that many people that live there.
Yeah.
And a decade later, in 1863, we see a new outbreak of a disease that the Hawaiians called ma'ipake, or what we would call leprosy.
And I think leprosy is also called Hansen's disease. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't.
Yeah, I think it's called Hansen's disease too.
Yeah, see, I didn't think leprosy was still a thing, and until I was probably in high school. I thought leprosy was some shit they eradicated in the Bible times, because you never heard oh, this star's got leprosy. That shit don't happen.
So and so's child born with leprosy.
Yeah, you don't hear it, so you just assume. The only time I ever heard about fucking leprosy was at school,
a joke.
Yeah, learning about the Bible.
How about why they stopped the leprosy hockey game?
How come?
There was a face-off in the corner.
Oh, man.
Yeah, when I think of leprosy, I think of dirty leprosy jokes about wieners falling off, but I would always imagine the sight of it is always caved in bridge of nose, fingers kind of missing, the tips of them and stuff, the ends, and nose collapsed.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, that's thing
real.
About leprosy, though, is there's a lot of misconceptions about it.
You can fight it, right?
Yeah. It's not super contagious. There's a myth that if you even so much as fucking look at somebody with leprosy, you got it now. Congratulations. That's not the case at all.
You just made eye contact with leprosy.
Yeah, you're done. It goes through intense
X-Men have to fight this thing. Yeah. How are we gonna handle this?
For example, the leprosy is less contagious than the cold or the flu.
See? So, got a friend with leprosy. You don't like shaking his hand. Shake his fucking hand.
Yeah.
Use some Purell.
It would be very weird for you to have a friend with leprosy, probably, but I guess it's not impossible.
I hang around with a lot of no-vax people.
Yeah. Well, you would have to live somewhere where new cases of leprosy are continuously showing up for years to run a realistic risk of catching the disease.
So if you sent a leprosy body part in a letter to someone and they opened it as a terrorist act,
they'd be fine.
They'd just be what the fuck is this?
They'd be that's gross. Fucked up that somebody just mailed me a foot and now I'm concerned for my life, but you're not going to get leprosy.
Which one of my friends sent me a foot?
Aw, come on. Yeah. 95% of people are naturally immune to leprosy. So there's almost no chance that you're going to get it anyways.
We are legends.
Yeah, everybody's a legend.
Yeah, I am legend.
It's the participation trophy of disease resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got it.
Gotta kill lepers, lepratic vampires, cannibals, zombies.
But that being said, it is still endemic in developing nations, and lots of people still get it. It's still a thing that we got to work on. most everybody, it can be cured in like 2 weeks. Leprosy curable disease. For whatever reason, I mean, there's syphilis is also curable disease. One shot of fucking penicillin is gone.
Yeah, who hasn't gotten one of those in their lifetime? I mean, shit.
Yeah.
We've all had to go down and get. So if you have to get a penicillin shot once in your life, tweet us your real name. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The other thing, one last misconception about leprosy is it will not make your limbs fall off. What it does.
So you're saying what I was saying was wrong?
Yeah. That
contradicting me right on live, right in front of this beautiful bay window, overlooking this water.
These people, I look at the purity of that white sand and that it just clear azure water, and our listeners deserve purity. They deserve the truth. See because what it does.
Wieners can fall off from leprosy.
Well, leprosy could be indirectly responsible for a wiener falling off.
Okay.
Because what it does is it kills the nerves. So if you don't got no wiener nerves anymore, and at night you roll over, say, into the fire or into like a sharp rock, you don't know you're like, pain. Like if you put your hand in a fire because you have no nerves, and then you're like, fuck, my hand burned off. Like leprosy didn't take your hand off, but I guess it kind of took your hand off. The fire really did it.
You ever have your hand fall asleep or be numb, and then you like try touching shit, and you're like, whoa, I can't feel nothing.
I fucking fall asleep.
Leprosy hand.
Very commonly, I'll fall asleep like. I don't know, like I'll fall asleep on my back like fucking Dracula with my arms crossed across my chest.
Do you sleep in a coffin still? Are you still doing that?
No.
Okay.
That's the problem is because now that I'm in a big boy bed,
yeah,
I roll over onto my arms and then they both fucking go numb. And then my alarm goes off and it's just blasting. And it's like two floppy noodles that I can't control. And they're just going crazy. I can't grab anything, can't turn it off. It's horrifying.
See how my wrist is totally bent like a freaking T-Rex arm?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll put my hand on the top of my chin on top of my hand and sleep like this. So like this whole joint gets like racked the whole time I'm sleeping. When I get up in the morning, it's like, I don't know why I do that. Both sides. I do it on both sides. Shit,
man. One time I did it with my legs. I think I fell asleep watching TV, like sitting cross-legged. And then must have just laid back, slept the whole night. My alarm went off in the morning. I tried to get out of bed, and I just, crumbled to the ground because both of my legs were asleep. I thought I'd been paralyzed. I was like sure of it. I was like crying. It was fucked up. It was scary. And then I felt like a total moron once I was like, oh no, you just like fell asleep weird, like you were a toddler or some shit.
So this freaking Hawaiian prison island, this leprosy colony, was considered basically a prison. Like once your leprosy ass was dropped off there, you weren't going to be cured and then leave. You stayed there forever. And they had structures that the patients would be in to live in.
Uh-huh.
And you could have family member come in and see you. But you could not be in contact with your family member. They had their own dwellings, the whole different wing. And then the meeting rooms were separated by chicken wire. So you couldn't like hug your loved one. But like, hey, hope you get better. Get well soon. You're never leaving.
Yeah, I would just be like, let's just like rub through the chicken wire until I can get leprosy too so I can come in.
I thought you were talking about this like your lover. Like your lover's in prison, you're rubbing like your body parts on it. Like,
man, chicken wire. Let's
get it over with.
Probably kind of like sharp and stuff, and the holes are really narrow.
Brad the Impaler's got freaking
chicken
wire
wire
cutters.
can't be done. Can't be done. You're not getting through that.
Oh Jesus. Okay. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it was not. It wasn't optional. you got sent to Kalaupapa. You didn't choose to.
And I think I said it at the very beginning of the episode. This would be probably the ideal prison to be at of all prisons of all time.
Yeah, on a Hawaiian island.
Hell yeah, freaking no sun, no winter. It's just Hawaiian rain once in a while, and you got beaches. It's hot out, so people are probably just chilling with their leprosy bodies glistening in the sun.
Yeah, and basically the thing about this, I mean, as far as the prison goes, 8,000 people were sent there to live.
Yeah.
But when everybody there has leprosy, it's not like they're leper/murderers. There's just people with leprosy.
Yeah.
So basically, inside the confines of this island, they form just sort of a miniature normal society. Like everybody just kind of lived together, but they had their individual families, and I mean, there's thousands of people that live there.
Yeah.
There's still people that live there.
Yeah, there's like 9 inhabitants.
Yeah.
Something.
Now, technically, for the last 50 years or so, they've been free to go whenever they want. But they're just like, nah, like this is what we know. Like we'll just stay here. Thank you.
I don't want to leave my garden.
Yeah, they're just.
Who will take care of it?
They're already. They're all. I think the youngest one was like in their 70s.
Yeah, where's she gonna go?
Yeah, would just
apartment?
like somehow adapt to a whole new.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Which is cool that they're just like, sure, stay at the leper colony.
Go for it.
Yeah, so they're just chilling there. They're still there. Now it's probably really the best prison in the country because they could walk out whenever they felt like it.
So let's open these windows back up and let some of this air in. And I gotta say, if there's any people out there on Twitter or Facebook or any type of way of messaging us and you want to hear another island discussion, we're up for having another island episode. There's many Alcatraz islands out there that people... Tasmania, put the Tasmanian devils. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? There's so many islands. So if anyone out there wants to hear an island, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We'll be down to take another vacation probably pretty soon.
Hashtag Islandstravaganza.
Yeah. Well, so how can you let us know about that? Well, I'll tell you how. You can do it on Twitter at Dinner and Hell Pod is how you do that.
That's right.
You could email us at dinnerandhellpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube. And please don't forget to rate and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher or any other podcast application you may be listening to us on.
Yeah, it would help us because it would rank us higher in like the rankings.
Yeah.
Like we're at like 247,000th comedy genre.
We're not.
Like, we want to be in the top 300,000.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this exciting sort of, diversion.
It's cool that our band was able to handle these different instruments, different approach, nice improbability.
Yeah, they played incredible. Played great. Everything sounded good. Studio audience, so tender, so friendly.
Delicate tact.
Warm, embracing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And thank you all for listening at home. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, here we go. This is our Jeopardy bit we've told you about in mid-episode.
Category. Starts with 2 vowels. Answer. A solemn promise or a cuss word.
Say it again.
It starts with 2 vowels. The answer is a solemn promise or a cuss word. I'm going with oath.
A cuss word?
Yeah.
I don't think so. A solemn promise or a cuss word?
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying oath?
Yeah. Like I've heard in like timey shit be like, don't be taking oaths.
Okay, I gotcha. I'll go with oath.
What is an oath?
Boom.
Boom.
You heard it here, folks. We do not know the answers. You're hearing them with the first time with us.
Category is starts with 2 vowels still. The answer is a trapeze artist.
Acrobat? No. Aerial acrobat.
Aerialist? Or like an aerial performer?
Aerial performer.
All right. What is an aerialist?
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Also, by the way,
if we say it once.
either one of us gets it right, we don't have to agree on an answer. We're both playing as a team because that's probably the handicap that I would need if I was actually on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
But hey, 2 for 2 so far. Easter. Category is Easter.
Okay, this is me.
Tsar Alexander III commissioned the first fabulous Easter eggs from this designer in 1885.
Is it called like...
Who is Fabergé?
Yeah, Fabergé, yeah.
Peter Carl Fabergé, even.
Yeah.
I never knew his first...
That's when Trebek would go, yes, Peter Carl. Like, okay, Trebek.
Yeah, you fucking pulled that off the top of your head.
You just know all this info, Trebek.
Okay, this one is... The category is ecology. Answer. The 100,000-acre Roscoe Farm, spreading over 4 Texas counties, produces electricity from this source.
Wind.
I'll say solar.
Okay.
What is wind?
Boom, Maiden.
All right, we're still in ecology.
This freaking breeze got me all giggly.
Toss your food scraps and other organic material into a bin to make this, which you can
What is
then
compost?
use as for compost.
I do that to the TV. What is compost? Click.
Well, I do it because in my household, Jeopardy's not a game you watch; it's a game you play. And if you don't just shout it out first, you don't get any points. None. People are just screaming when Jeopardy was watched in my childhood household.
Well,
It's awesome.
you can come over. We have me and my woman watch Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
We have them all taped. So next time you come over, I can put on a Jeopardy and you can see how good you are.
Yeah, cool.
I'll
take the helicopter over.
One time I watched you. One time you were over and you played Jeopardy and you were really good. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
see,
you're good.
It's always a crapshoot. It's like if I'll turn on Jeopardy and I either would like crush or I know nothing. I would be completely embarrassed.
When it gets to Shakespeare, I'm like Macbeth. That's all I know. I just throw it out there.
I know just the shallowest Shakespeare stuff. That's it. So it's like if it's in something I know about, like, and my spectrum kicks in, fucking I'll crush because I know everything about like really hyper specific things.
And then no one will go to that category. It'll be like Turtles of the World, and I'll be like, what? That's my thing.
Come on! You're just dying for control.
Jesus Lizard song titles. They don't even touch the category. You're like, fuck, we're out of time. All right.
All right, we're still in ecology. If your garden soil lacks magnesium, a green way to add it is to use magnesium sulfate, aka this salt
Epsom.
named for a British town.
Epsom salt.
Epsom salt. We are flying, man. The category is baseball greats. On April 23rd, 1954, this Braves outfielder hit his first major league home run. He'd hit 754 more before he retired.
Braves?
Jackie Robinson? Did he start with the Braves?
I don't know. Outfielder. 54.
Baseball's not my sport.
Yeah. Is it Willie Mays? Is that too late? That's too early for Willie Mays? Like,
I think Willie Mays, 60s maybe? But that's I can't come up with any other guesses. I gotta guess Jackie Robinson.
what about Hank Aaron?
I think it might be Hank Aaron.
Is it double vowel?
No, it's just baseball greats. I think you're right. Jackie Robinson was like not from Atlanta. He's from somewhere else. Let's see. Ready? Hank Aaron.
Boom, Maiden.
Boom, Maiden indeed.
If you want to hear more Boom Maidens, hashtag Boom Maiden.
Baseball greats still. 1958, this man, Mr. Cub, hit 47 home runs.
Ernie Banks?
Still the National League record for a shortstop.
Ernie Banks?
I have no clue, so we'll go Ernie Banks. Who is Ernie
Maiden,
Banks?
Maiden, Maiden.
Boom, boom, boom. Still on baseball greats. I don't think we're going to get out of this category, though. They're starting to get harder, and I don't know jack shit about baseball.
I'm here.
In a 1951 playoff game, he hit the shot heard around the world, propelling the Giants into the World Series. But I feel like that's the shot heard around the world was Babe Ruth. But
He was a Giant?
yeah, when did he? Yeah, I don't think he wound up on the Giants. I think he.
It was a Giant that hit it?
Yeah.
Was it like Tony Gwynn? Wait, what year?
1951.
Oh.
Famous Giant. I have no idea.
Shot heard around the world.
I want to call that Babe. They call that Babe. I'm gonna guess Babe Ruth. Maybe he wound up at the Giants at the end of his career or something. No, fucking Babe Ruth wasn't around the 50s. Was
Yeah.
he?
I don't know.
I have no goddamn idea.
Okay, hold on. I can get this. It's shit, man. Just think legends. Fuck it, might as well go with Babe.
Bobby Thompson. I've never heard of Bobby Thompson. Yeah, I never would have got it.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not a baseball person.
You want to leave it to just one strike and cut it there? We got like 10 minutes of it.
All right, yeah. Okay, that's it. So we just went until we got one wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see you next time.
We
Jeopardy.
could do 3, but we're cruising so hard it'd probably be like 40 minutes extra.
Yeah. Take it easy. Peace out.